we are. All right. So, it's been brought to my attention that Dwight Howard needs to be discussed. Actually, it's more like, I guess I need to pretty much put this Dwight thing to bed before he makes a decision because I kind of feel like, one, I really don't want to talk about this, but I think if we're going to talk about it, there's some things that we need to clear up about it. This is coming on the heels of Dwight Howard pretty much saying to Mitch Kupchak that he had a problem with Mike D'Antoni. And who doesn't have a problem with Mike D'Antoni? I mean, this isn't something that's new. This isn't something that's a surprise. This isn't anything new. Pau Gasol had a problem with Mike D'Antoni. You can argue that Kobe's Achilles is indirectly related to Mike D'Antoni running him into the ground. The reason the Lakers lost was because their bench was barely used and they went to a small roster, so guys were tired. So when you bring guys in due to being hurt, what are they going to do? So nobody likes Mike D'Antoni. I agree with Dwight Howard on that. And for people trying to say, well, there goes Dwight trying to kill another coach. Hey, half of LA wants to knock out D'Antoni right now. So that is not something that you want to start over. But I think we need to realize something about Dwight Howard. For all this talk about him, there's some truths we need to realize. Number one, Dwight Howard is still a really good defensive player. Number two, Dwight Howard is still a really good rebounder. He led the league in rebounding this year at not even 100%, really. He led the league in rebounding. He's still a great defensive player. He didn't make the all-defensive team, which I like to personally attribute to the guy who's allergic to the defense coach on our team right now. But Dwight's a great defensive player. He's a great rebounder, and that's not going to change. He's basically Tyson Chandler with more athleticism and speed. However, and this is the big part with Dwight, we all talked about it, what Dwight needs to do is he needs to start developing a post game. We've said it before, he's going into year 10, he has a very limited offensive post game, and he needs to get something quick because that back injury is going to take its toll on him long term, I think, and he's not going to be able to jump around and do what he used to do when he was younger. He's going to have to learn some post moves this summer and start practicing them. Maybe with him being healthy now, he can probably spend more time with Hakeem Olajuwon and learn some post moves because he really needs to do that. Because if he doesn't, I fear that his effectiveness is going to wane. And when you're a guy that doesn't score that many points as it is, you don't want to be like a much better version of Tyson Chandler when you're supposed to be the best big man in the game. So that's the big thing about Dwight we need to clarify on the court. Now, what I've realized about Dwight Howard from being here is that he is very protected. He's mentally soft. And that's not a knock on him. I like the guy, but he's mentally soft. And I think as I heard last year, the bigger problem with Dwight is people don't realize this. Dwight went to the same school from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's 13 years in the same environment. He went to the Orlando Magic and stayed there for, 8 years? So he's been in the same environment. He's very, very sheltered in the sense that he's been around places where he can be protected. Orlando protected him. His school environment protected him. And that's why when he came to LA, it's almost like, deer in headlights look. He's got to face the music. And that's why I said before the season, Dwight had to grow up a bit. He can't come to LA and expect to get the same kind of passes he got before. He has to grow up. And this season probably grew him up a little bit more because, one, he had to play with a lot of veterans who weren't going to put up with his foolishness. Two, he had to deal with the media corps that was going to be a little bit tougher on him. And three, he got exposed a lot more for not being as great as he is. I remember Dragonfly Jones on Twitter said that Antoine Jameson had a higher career scoring average than Dwight Howard, which blows my mind, by the way. Blows my mind. So it's almost like Dwight's realizing he's got to make some adjustments. And as far as if he comes back or not, I told you before, I really don't care if he does or doesn't. He didn't really do much to show that he, if he comes here, great. If he doesn't, okay. Like I said before, the Lakers are the Lakers. You don't beg people to come here. You invite them to come here if they don't want to. Say thank you, Godspeed, and keep going. I don't care what he decides to do. But in my heart, I'm starting to accept that maybe he's not going to come back. Not because of Kobe, not because of any person. Because of one person, and that would be the coach. And as we all said before, the Lakers' biggest mistake was not going to Phil Jackson and hiring him, but instead hiring the guy who might be the most overrated coach of the last decade. And I'm just being honest. I think Mike D'Antoni's overrated. Um, yes, I know he's a great offensive mind, but look at what he's done with the last two teams he's been on. The Knicks were middling. They were just stumbling around. The Lakers, yeah, we saw what happened with them. I think he's overrated. And I think if Dwight leaves the Lakers because of him, hey, that's one more reason why he needs to go. But I also think that Dwight needs to go somewhere where he's not the focus. He needs to be somewhere where he's surrounded by other guys who can share the spotlight with him. Because right now, no one's going to trust him to carry a team. No one's going to trust him to lead. Because right now, I don't think Dwight's a leader. I don't think he leads in that way. Compared to Shaq, when Shaq was going to do something, Shaq led. Shaq was clearly the alpha dog, and you were going to follow him on the way. Dwight, on the other hand, I don't think he's like that. I don't think that's his personality. So that's why I'm starting to agree with a lot of people that if he goes to Houston, that might be a good fit for him. One, James Harden, who's probably the most easy to play with guy who's a superstar in the league because James Harden is very unselfish. I mean, we heard about the letter he wrote to Sam Presti when he got one before the draft, where he said his game could mesh with other people. And I've seen James Harden do that since he was in high school. He's meshed with a lot of great players. In high school, in college, in the pros. He's a great glue guy. He's a star, but he can also play with other people as well. Jeremy Lin's going to get him the ball. Jeremy Lin's not going to hog the ball, so that's a big thing for him. He'll be closer to Kevin McHale, who can also teach him some post moves because Kevin McHale's a great low post guy. I think if he goes to Houston, that's a great fit for him. I don't know if Houston is going to, pay the bucks, but they were interested in him before. So if Dwight wants to go to Houston, I think that's a great fit for him. But this whole thing about Dwight's character and Dwight's everything, I really think that in everything with all this, Dwight's just very unaware of how people, of how things are being done because he wants to be liked so much. We saw that. He wants to be liked so much, but the problem is in being liked so much, he's doing things that are just like, you know what? You need to chill out with that. It's overstepping his boundaries. So that's kind of all I have to say about Dwight. I really, like I said, I didn't want to talk about it, but I really think that for me, on the court, Dwight has to get better as a post player with offensive moves. He's a great defender, great rebounder. He's got to do better with his post moves. And off the court, he's got to find a way to just learn from his experience and grow up a little bit. Because I realize this, that it's okay to be a clown, but at some point, a clown's got to grow up. And Dwight's going to be 28 this year, if he's not already. And he's got to realize that in year 10, you got to start making some adjustments. And that's all I got to say about that. So with that said, back to the original song I gave you. Trying to Be Cool by Phoenix. Great record. Peace.